Late last night in the Senate, 7 Democrats and 1 independent joined Republicans to make a deal to end the shutdown. It will now have to go to a vote in the House. This is a terrible deal. There is no guaranteed extension of the ACA subsidies, instead, an unenforceable promise that they will hold a vote on it in December. All 8 of these senators are not up for re-election. Chuck Schumer was not among them, but this leaves 2 possibilities. One, despite being leader of the Senate Democrats, he does not keep his own members in order. Or 2, far more likely to be the case, this was done with his blessing, and despite him not personally voting for this, he endorsed, enabled, or in some way architected this kind of deal. Either way, Chuck Schumer has failed as a leader. He has assassinated the brand equity the Democratic Party finally built up after the momentum of last week's elections. 1 week was all it took. Even the most vulnerable Senate Democrat in a purple district, Jon Ossoff, did not vote for this. And now that the 40 days of pain seem to have been for nothing, now people have a point criticizing the Democrats. What was it for? Which will hurt Democrats most in vulnerable purple districts. I had suspicions of Schumer after refusing to say who he voted for, indicating he's clearly out of step with the will of the future of the party, meaning he just has an incorrect understanding of who is going to win and why. But I held my tongue because he does have to manage a big tent and was leading the way on the shutdown. The deal offer just a couple days ago I thought was brilliant, offer a 1-year extension of the ACA while its long-term future was negotiated. And the Republican refusal of this deal left it clearly at the foot of Republicans. Instead, these 8 senators, with the endorsement of Senate Democrat leadership, have politically self-destructed the entire goodwill the party has gained. This has been criticized by the DNC and the House Democrats. This is not a Democrat-wide problem. This is a Democrat Senate leadership problem. Even though Schumer specifically did not vote for this, it happened on his watch, and it's likely he was involved. This comes down to what being a good manager or a leader is. Blame flows up, credit flows down. It happened on his watch. He's responsible for this. If you have any Democrat senators in your state, please contact their office today and demand Chuck Schumer step down from leadership. Senator Ro Khanna is already leading the way on this and has publicly called for Schumer to resign. Senator Khanna is also one of the leaders of the effort to release the Epstein files, which is successfully becoming bipartisan. This means even when you do need to compromise, he's someone with his finger on the pulse and his eye on the ball. He's getting wins where no one thought they could. Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer is taking losses despite holding all the cards. But Schumer and Durbin, in positions of Democratic leadership, need to go. Hell, even if you have Republican senators, contact their office too. Ask them why they're agreeing to a deal without ACA subsidies. This is not representing people. And I hope all of these Senate Democrats who folded know, even if they were getting calls from allegedly their constituents to end the shutdown, that is not representative of their constituency. 4 weeks now, there has been a corrupt effort by government websites violating the Hatch Act and propaganda outlets like Fox News to wrongfully blame the Democrats for this and to tell their viewers to blame the Democrats for this. Even though surveys show most people rightfully blame the Republicans for this, even if you don't consume news at all. This is clearly and proudly a Republican-owned government passing Republican policy ideas. Democrats are standing up. I don't think they understand the extent to which caving to this pressure is a fool's errand. Putting aside the fact that Democrats now walk away with all of the blame and then news cycle back to Dems in disarray instead of the positive momentum we had, They were manipulated. There was a coordinated effort to target during Pride Month by propaganda outlets like Fox News and social media to try and cancel Target, to boycott Target for having Pride merch during Pride Month. So Target's got lots of negative attention, calls, emails, people going to their stores, shouting and trashing the place, people posting on social media claiming they're never going to go to Target again. They never went to Target. These were Walmart shoppers. They were just trying to give them a hard time. If they understood their customer base, most people were fine with it, liked it, supported it. Target's main demographic was moms. And now the Senate, drowning in incompetence in messaging and communication in the attention economy, finally had a message that penetrated, that was getting to people. And they fumbled it. They didn't understand. More Americans need affordable health care than were laid off federal workers this year. And the laid off federal workers this year are going to be white collar workers, educated workers, in touch with how the federal government works, workers. They could see and understand the shutdown and know why what was happening, even though it hurt in the short term. When it comes to airports and air travel, that's largely non-essential. And it's clearly run and funded by federal agencies, air traffic controllers. That is not placed on the Senate Democrats who are not in power. Democrats do not have to own that. Frankly, if air travel floundered through Thanksgiving and families had trouble or had to cancel getting together, that becomes a kitchen table issue at the foot of Republicans. And even though that would cause social harm, Democrats in no way own that. And that is not life or death harm. Not to mention the types of people who can afford to fly are going to skew middle class and educated. Meaning, through bias and information access, they're less likely to blame Democrats anyway. So who is this for? They got nothing. They visibly made most Americans aware of their singular demand, built a successful, positively received brand around it, and then fumbled that. Now the shutdown will be reframed as pointless harm maxing. And I am at a total loss for what Chuck Schumer thinks the Democratic Party is. How are we supposed to describe it? How are we supposed to advocate for it? What does he think they're doing, that they're about? Why should anyone get behind that as a brand or vote that way? How are we supposed to defend them, and what are we left defending as an idea? Affordability was the key to a new, brilliant, big tent. Healthcare, especially. It's a brand whose equity can fuel moderates and progressives. The people who fight for affordable healthcare is a great brand. It's a maybe once in a generation opportunity to bring in the younger, more progressive, even independent and anti-establishment voters into that tent. Left-leaning independents and non-voters are not enough block on their own to win their own elections, but they should be made a wing of the Democrat Party by now. In the same way, Trump revitalized the Republican Party, pulling on an underclass of bigots. But the Democrats finally, through hard work, built a vision of a growing tent here. And these Democrats shattered the strategy, the brand, the plan, the promise that everyone else was building on. It was pointless, feckless, cowardly, treachery. Chuck Schumer must resign. Now every Democrat who's headed into extended family holidays with reactionary family and friends will be left with indefensible shame about recent news, and crazy MAGA relatives who, at this moment, have become right to criticize the Democrats. It's an embarrassing brand to associate with.